Every night I read this book, and every night it makes me think of my own great lost project and one of the best graphic novels slash reportage pieces ever done in the world. So this is Ariol, and it's about a bunch of animals in an elementary school, and it started off in French, and the illustrator is Emmanuel Guibert, and it's great because my kids love it because it's their everyday life and it's really well done. So, but the person who drew this also did this, which is The Photographer, or Into War-Torn Afghanistan with Doctors Without Borders. And so this is a game-changing graphic novel about Didier Lefebvre, and he was a photojournalist who went into Afghanistan during the height of the war and photographed a mission of Doctors Without Borders. And the way they did it was they took his photographs and then they had the drawings of Guibert to fill in all the gaps in between them. And it is one of the most inspiring works you've ever seen. I mean, it makes me cry to even remember it, and it's been a couple years since I read it. It's at my parents' house, so I have to show you this instead of my original. But it also inspired the greatest thing I wish I would have gotten done. Because when I was a kid, like in my early 20s, I was in India for a year with my kid sister, and I found out about the March to Tibet, and we were walking from Dharamshala down to Delhi and then up to the border to walk across the border, apparently, from into China. And with a bunch of Tibetan monks and nuns and lay people, and this was all to protest the Olympic torch coming through, and the games being in Beijing this that year. And already these words mean that no one's going to see this video, but so it goes. But it was 3 months of my life with these fantastic giant souls who are willing to do a protest movement that barely got heard of outside of India. It was my first taste of realpolitik and how heroic the people on the ground were and how much the rest of the world didn't care that much. This invasion was 50 years ago, and no one's going to press China on this issue enough to matter. But I didn't know that at the time, and all I saw was inspiring heroes in front of me. And I was with a great photographer from Belgium who was taking photos, and I was writing the stories of the marchers and their biographies and the one obituary of my buddy Tenzin, who drowned, my chess buddy. But it was seeing a lot of heroism on that march for the first time in front of me in my entire life. And years later, I wanted to do a graphic novel like The Photographer, using my buddy Xavier's photos from that march, and then filling the gaps with an illustrator who was his girlfriend at the time, to tell that story and to also tell the history of Tibet through the back and forth of it, with the mentor I had picked up along the way, Tom Laird, and his great writings on this. But it didn't work out. Instead, the photographer and the illustrator broke up, and I ended up in Berlin drinking myself to sleep and abandoned buildings. It was kind of the lowest point before coming back to New York and kind of finding my own there. But all of that inspiration from all of that happened, even if a book didn't come out of it, was The Photographer. And it was this guy who drew it. And now I read his drawings, which are very well done, about all of these little French animals at an elementary school, and it's perfect. It's such a learning experience. The kids love it and learn from it. Just learn, like I learned from this piece of work a long time ago. And it's funny how things go full circle.